Hi, my name's Kos Sakas, International Artistic Director for Tony & Guy London and also Label M Artistic Team. We're on set here today at the Work Studio shooting our campaign Socialised. With the name Socialised, it's come from social media, the way that the whole world is connected and everything can be seen almost immediately. So where we're inspired by fashion, and Tony & Guy are official hair care sponsors of London Fashion Week, the fashion weeks around the world, whether it be Paris, New York or Milan, we can see and be a part of instantly. So with the 60s inspiration that we're seeing at Fashion Week this season, is the chroma is the perfect haircut when working on something much shorter, because it's got the graduations, it's got the height through the crown, got that really feminine soft length that really creates that suitability through the front area. Let's go back to the studio at our London Academy to see how we can recreate the chroma. The sections were worked as a offset large triangular section which started from the crown area, dropped forward into the recession area and over to the other side. We worked the two widest point of another triangle and dropped that down into the occipital bone area, leaving us with a perimeter outline. Within the triangular section through the front area, this is where we will be maintaining length onto the face and a shorter area through the crown. Through the internal triangular section, this is where we'll be creating a graduation and also creating the first disconnection within the shape. And through the perimeter outline, we're working with a reverse graduation technique. Starting through the perimeter outline, first of all, we started centrally using a vertical section and elevated to a level of graduation. And we're working a technique called a reverse graduation. So point cutting from the perimeter, long to short internally. The sections were then worked diagonally forward, again elevated to a level of graduation, and point cut from long in the perimeter, shorter internally. The head shape was followed through. As we curved around behind the ear, there was a slight over direction that was created in order to maintain softness, length, and also to create that disconnection that you see in the nape and the strength that you see in front of the ear. As we reached the top of the ear, I started to pivot forward. It allows me to start to build up the strength into the outline. The rest of the sections were eventually dropped down to a stationary level of graduation. This transition between reverse graduation and finally strength into the front area is a key point and detail for the chroma. The technique is now repeated over to the other side. The only thing that changes is our finger positioning, where now we hold the fingers over the top, pull the tips of our fingers out, and then again point cut from long through the perimeter into shorter internally. Again, working with diagonal forward sections until we reach the ear. As we reach to the top of the ear, we pivoted forward, dropping the elevation down to a stationary level to create a disconnection and also to create that strong line. The strength through the side is really important for the colour placement, because as I keep my elevation nice and low, the line is much stronger, which makes the colour stronger in turn as well. Once that area was completed, we worked into the internal triangular section. From here we worked using a graduation. We started vertically, again dropping the elevation down to a stationary level and point cutting from short to long. We pivoted through the crown area, over directing the hair back to the previous section in order to build up that weight behind the ear. What's really important here is that you keep the elevation low and you don't round the shape off. To create that roundness into the crown area, we'll be creating from the next triangular section. As we start to pivot our way forward in front of the ear, again that over direction exaggerated in order to build up that extra weight. Editorially and on the catwalks, these looks have been seen, but using wigs. So it's great that we've got the opportunity to find the model to work the look for the chroma. The technique is now repeated onto the opposite side, still working with the point cutting in order to create that soft serrated edge. Using techniques which again are based around Tony & Guy's Future Foundation, and it's a course that we've revised within our Tony & Guy flagship academy here in London. It's these foundational techniques that are key to anything that we do. We learn all of the rules and all the disciplines to classic cutting, allowing us to break the rules when we come to creative cutting. Now, as we move forward into the front triangular section, we're going to be seeing how we're going to achieve this internal, short, reversed volume with colour placement to add strength. We worked a vertical section on the opposite side of the parting. The hair is dropped down to its natural fall and the line is blunt cut through. The blunt cutting now is a nice contradiction between the point cutting that we've created through the rest of the shape and the strong shape that we're going to now create through the front. The sections are worked parallel to each other, again drop down to its natural fall, and that guideline is followed. We start to run out of hair as we get into those last sections, creating a really nice strong outline. From there we work into the back of the triangular section, working with diagonal back sections, elevating the hair up, and on the side of the parting we're working with a shorter length, working into a longer length to the other side. The sections are now worked parallel to each other, over directed back. The reason why we work this offset line is so that we make sure that we maintain the strength on the opposite side of the parting. So now the technique is completed, I'm working through from the therapy range the rejuvenating protein cream. This allows me to re-moisturise the hair from inside out. I've also going to work in the thickening cream to create a much thicker swirled texture. This is distributed all the way through from roots to ends. Starting to blow dry the hair through, I'm using the cushion brush, wrap drying the shape first of all, and then picking out the sections and smoothing those, especially at the areas through the front, creating a really nice smooth texture. From here we need to start to texturize and personalize the shape. First of all, we start to point cut the nape area. This is just to create a nice serrated edge through that outline. From there we start to work into the disconnection of the graduation. We're working the hair horizontally through the comb and then working with deep parallel point cutting. This will just soften out that disconnection and give us a really nice soft edge. We start to work through the crown area now, elevating the hair high and using the slicing and channel cutting technique to create that separation and those shorter lengths that are going to create that 60s volume internally. So when we're styling the haircut, we've got this low side parting, and this is something that we've seen editorially and something that is really current. So that low side parting is really important. Blasting the texturizing volume spray is going to give us a really nice dry internal texture, but it's also going to be able to make the hair really nice and malleable and playable in terms of styling it just as we need to, pushing the hair up and away to create again this volume. So this is the finished technique and step by step of the chroma. The key features are the reverse graduations, the disconnected graduations, and the colour placements through that front area, and that teardrop fringe through the front. The chroma is a three-dimensional shape. You're going to get something different depending on what angle you look from. You're going to get strength when you've got that low side parting and you've got that colour placement just around the ear area. If you look over to the other side where the colour is much softer, then again you've got something that sits a lot more feminine. The crown area can be worn forward or back, again depending on how you want to style the shape, create that individuality. When we create a collection, it's not about copying, it's about working on that individual client. And what's really important as well is that you adapt it to your own way of working. Tony and Guy's flagship academy here in London is the hub of our inspiration and our creativity. This is where we start brainstorming, this is where we start experimenting with all upcoming and new trends in order to place them into our new campaigns. It's where we hold our creative cut and colour collections. It's where you can come and join us and we can show you on a one-to-one basis the step-by-step and all the inside secrets on how to create these looks, both cutting and colouring.